So you're telling me I can get into real estate, make $1 million using none of my own money, and you make it sound easy. You can do that. It's hard, and most people don't succeed there, but we see those kind of messages out there all the time. So if you see things, if it seems too good to be true, usually it is. Hey guys, welcome back. Hey, today we're going to do the podcast a little bit different. I'm going to do a podcast. I want to talk about the 5 questions that I ask myself before making any financial decisions, right? So back in the day, I was working same as everybody else, paycheck to paycheck, pretty much broke, spending money on alcohol, limos, things like that, and could never get ahead. I always had a goal for being in business, things like that, but I just never could get there, right? Same as everybody else. You get your cash, you're working 9 to 5, you make your money, you spend it, and then you start the same thing over and over and over again, right? I came across this book my dad gave me called Richest Man in Babylon. This was probably 20 years ago. Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. It's a cool book because it tells stories in parables, right? But I wanted to go through, there's one page in particular that changed how I do business and changed my financial trajectory, if you could say that, right? The background on it, I'm just going to read it to you. The 5 laws of gold are revealed in a campfire tale by a wealthy camel trader, Calibob. He started by asking his audience which they would choose, a bag of gold or a clay tablet inscribed with wisdom. Everyone opts for gold. However, he points out that without wisdom, they'd just waste the gold and end up back where they started. So gold, or money, he says, accrues only to those who understand the laws governing it. Calibob then explains the 5 laws of gold, which he says originated with Arkad, who passed them on to his son, Nazimir, for whom Calibo once worked, right? If you were to choose, someone was going to give you, say, $1 million or a book that showed you how to earn and accumulate wealth, which would you choose? And he's saying most people are choosing the $1 million, right? Which most would. Who would choose a book over that? But that's where he's saying everybody's wrong. I could give you $1 million, and if you don't know what to do with it, it's just going to be squandered anyways, and you're going to be back where you are. If you look at people that win the lottery, things like that, if you don't learn how to earn and keep and make your money grow, that's how you end up back where you started, right? So I wanted to go through the 5 laws of gold and how they helped me, so maybe they can help you guys as well, right? So number 1, gold loves those who save 10%. Save 10%. Everybody says save 10%, right? But not a lot of people do it. 10% is nothing. So if you look at it, whatever you bring in, doesn't matter if you make $10, $100, $1,000, 100,000, $1 million, whatever that number is, if you slice 10% off right at the beginning, right when you get it, you're not going to miss it, right? So the rule number 1 of how to accumulate wealth is save 10% of everything you make. It doesn't have to be a ton. Just cut that 10% off and save it, right? You acquire gold by saving regularly. You have to do this on an ongoing basis. And back in the day, I used to make like $500 a week. $50 is nothing, right? But if you take $50 and then $50 and $50 and $50 and it accumulates up, and then you have enough to do something, right? So it says gold cometh gladly and in increasing quality to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. So like me, I used to go out and blow 100% of my paycheck, right? Go out to the bars, go out and do fun stuff, eating, things like that back in my early 20s. That's where things started to change for me. Number 1, I was getting in a lot of trouble, wasting money, and there was nothing to grow, right? So once I started just pulling 10% aside, that's the first thing you need to do. If you're not pulling 10% aside out of your earnings, pull it aside, just stick it aside. You don't have to know what to do with it yet. Just put it there, because when opportunity arises, you'll have it to do something, right? Especially in the real estate space. If you have money sitting liquid when turmoil, like say whenever the pandemic came, or even back in like 2008, like when hard times come, discounts are there. So real estate market crashes, everybody's scared. If you don't have cash, number 1, you might be the one liquidating at a discount, but the people with cash just sitting there in reserves, they're able to deploy that money and buy discounted properties or anything, right? Number 2, let's go to number 2. Gold likes to multiply. What's that mean? Gold grows when you invest it. And it says gold grows when you invest it, along with interest you received on it wisely. So gold laboreth diligently and contently for the wise owner, who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the fields of flock, right? Money starts to make money. So you pulled your 10% aside. Now you want your money to work. It's like putting soldiers out there. You want every dollar to go back and bring back 2. Everyone thinks like saving, it's like, okay, I save 10%, I put it in the market and it grows. I didn't do it the traditional way, right? So I started saving and I just had cash. And then what happened with me, I'm always like into flipping things, stuff like that, right? So back in the day, I used to go on Craigslist and put up ads that said, we buy silver. And I would have people hit me up, normally like bullion, silver, things like that. And I was just trying to accumulate it. I'd usually buy it at spot price. And then I'd resell some of it and keep some of it, right? Well, I had this one dude hit me up. His name was Lenny. And he hit me up and he's like, hey, I have a lot of silver that I want to liquidate. It was my father's silver. He owned a jewelry store and he has a ton of silver and he passed. He left it in a bank security deposit box in my mother's in a nursing home. So I want to sell it evenly on a monthly basis at whatever spot price is because it changes all the time. He said, I don't want to, because spot was low at this point. He said, I don't want to sell it all right now. So I want to sell it on a monthly basis and we'll just agree whatever spot price is, we can do that, right? We bought $3,000 worth of silver from him every month. And I didn't have $3,000 sitting around every month. So I partnered up with my buddy, Nick. I'm like, hey dude, you want to go in $1,500 each? We'll both buy $1,500 worth of silver. And every month we're just going to keep buying it, right? So we go meet the guy. And this guy, if anybody knows anything about coins, this guy was selling Franklin $half and then Walking Liberty $half. So I'm sitting there and we pick it up. We bought $3,000 worth of Walking Liberties. And I'm looking in there and at the top of the container, it says like AU and BU. So which means, anything about coins is silver's worth, like bullion silver's worth what it's worth, right? Some of them are worth a little bit more depending on the brand, things like that. But basically if spot price is 18, the bullion might be worth 20. It's not a big difference there. On coins, on the other hand, coins are definitely worth what spot price is, but some of them are worth way more because they're collectible. For example, which I didn't get one of these from him, but like a 1921 D Walking Liberty might be worth a couple $100 in like beat up shape. So what happened though is we're getting these common coins, but they were in AU, which is almost uncirculated, and BU condition, which is beautiful uncirculated. And we're getting these coins for say it's $15 for an even number. I'm getting these coins for $50 and some are worth $35. So what I did was I took my savings, I paid $1,500 for the coins. Well, first, me and my buddy went through, looked them all up, found out the prices. It was fun. Sent some in to get graded. But then I took half of them and I stuck them on eBay. So I got my $1,500 back. I kept the other half, maybe even more than half. And then I had my $1,500 for the next month. So basically, I was accumulating a silver collection for free, right? I did that for a while. And eventually, I had a lot of freaking silver. I converted that silver. I actually bought a property with the silver that I had. Now, one thing with silver, I don't recommend really purchasing silver now because I've realized if you need to liquidate like $100,000 worth of silver, it's pretty tough, right? Like no one's just coming around giving you $100,000 cash. It's heavy. It's a pain in the butt. So I liked it because it was fun. I was making money, accumulating a good collection, things like that. But point is, if you don't have your 10%, when that deal popped up, I wouldn't have been able to buy it. And since I was able to buy that, then I was now able to take that money and just keep recycling it. And I do the same thing with houses. It's like, okay, I saved up my first $100,000. I buy a property and now I do the BRRRR method. So the thing is, you have to accumulate that first lump sum of cash, whatever it is. And then you want to make that cash work for you versus you going and spending your effort and sweat working. And you know what the cool thing with that was too? I started getting coins certified. Like sometimes I'd set a coin in, it'd come back worth a couple $100. So anyways, that's number 2. Gold likes to multiply. We're going to number 3. Gold loves the cautious owner. So read, study, and qualified advice, right? So it says, gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests under the advice of men wise in its handling. Your gold will stick around if you follow competent advice from financial experts. So basically, don't invest in stuff you don't know. Don't invest with people that don't know what they're talking about. So here's an example. We see this in a real estate space a lot. A lot of times, someone might have money and they're looking to get into real estate. They don't have any experience in real estate. Sometimes they'll go to their buddy, be like, hey, you know what? Say he's a contractor, right? Hey, you know what? I got $100,000. You know how to do electrical. Do you think we can go purchase a property and you'll handle the remodel and I'll put up the money? So in that case, if the person's specialty is just electrical, they don't really have the experience on flipping houses, or buying it for hold or whatever it is. So like in that, I see a lot of people, that might even be a bad example with the electrician, but I see a lot of people in the real estate space, they want to get into it and they give money chasing a dream. They want to be a real estate investor, but they partner with the wrong person. Here's a good example. Chad, my business partner, wanted to get into real estate, right? And he kept asking me, he's like, hey, you know what? I want to get into real estate. I want to do this. And me, I was already fine. Like I was already doing properties. I didn't need cash at this point, but he wanted to get into it. And I'm like, okay, if you want, I'll do a deal or two with you. You put up 100% of the funds. I'll run the deal. In that case, it makes sense because I have a lot of experience in real estate. I know how to find the deals. I know how to underwrite them. I know how to deal with the project management. And I know how to make them profitable, right? So in that case, it makes sense. But if he came to me 10 years ago, before I learned, and basically I learned, and most people learn by getting punched in the face. I learned by doing deals and losing money or making bad decisions, things like that. So if he caught me before I did those, it wouldn't have made sense because it's just a dream. Like we're just out there trying to do stuff. He'd toss in money. I'd be trying to find out deals and things like that, and it wouldn't work. But since I have the experience, that scenario made sense. So anyone looking to invest their money, make sure you're doing it with the right people. Don't just go into it on dreams with hopes. You know what I mean? Make sure you're dealing with someone with a proven track record, or if you're investing with somebody, even in syndications, things like that, or even just in the stock market, invest with those. I have a friend who gave money to a guy to invest, we'll say in quotes, into crypto. And his experience is he doesn't have a proven track record in crypto. I don't know what he's trying to do, but he's trying to make money in crypto, which I don't consider really an investment. That's more a speculation. But she's under the impression that it's an investment. So things like that, like there's a high likelihood she's probably going to lose her money, right? Just because she's investing with someone or something that's unknown, right? Take that into consideration there. Protect your money. It's hard. It's really hard to come up with the money in the beginning. Protect it because you can lose it fast. Gold favors those who study investments. Study investments and educate yourself before investing, right? So it says gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes which he is not familiar or which they are not approved by those skilled in its keep, right? So this pops up all the time, especially in business, like shiny object syndrome. I know Chad and I were talking about before, starting a coffee shop. I have no experience in a coffee shop and neither does he, right? And this is one of the points I wanted to make this video for in this podcast is because I ask myself every business section, all 5 of these things, right? So I go down the list, boom, 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 boom. If something pops up, hey, do you want to start a coffee shop? We're thinking, oh yeah, that would be cool. We can make a shared workspace, things like this. It would be a cool place to work. We can make profit. We can buy the building, things like that. And then I go down this list and it's like, okay, boom, it breaks rule number 4. Doesn't make sense. Pass. That's why I like this because it's real simple. It's like every single decision that pops up for me, like new business ventures, things like that, I get to run down this list. And if it checks all the boxes, I'm in, most likely. If it doesn't, I'm out. Like I don't have to think about it. And it kind of takes the emotion out, right? So like another example, I wrote a book way back in the day with my buddy Sean. He has experience writing books and he's a published author. He's a PhD English professor, things like that. And he has experience on that side. I had no experience on the marketing and business side of it. We got in, I put up all the money. We co-wrote the book and it flopped. Like I just didn't know what to do with it. We spent a ton of money. It was a ton of money at the time, probably like 10, 15 grand. Just trying to do this, which now I realize you can write a book and you don't have to spend anything with Fiverr, Upwork, all that kind of stuff. But things like that, like I got into something, I didn't have experience and failed, lost a lot of money. And that's when I didn't have a lot of money. So if I would have looked here back then, I would have saw, okay, number 4, failed, pass, save 15 grand, right? Oh, and you know what? Another thing is something that did work out for me. When we started Motivated Leads, Chad had experience with Facebook marketing. I had experience with SEO and digital marketing. We started an agency, which is crazy now looking back. We both just threw $1,000 in for ad spend. We're like, hey, you know what? Let's stick up a landing page. Let's throw $1,000 in. If we get business, good. If not, we don't, right? So we had very little risk. We both had experience in the space and now we crushed it, right? It works on both sides. You stay away from a lot of stuff, but then also there's things that you want to get involved with. And I recommend just do it smart. Don't go in for like those, throwing a ton of money into it. Like test it out and scale it, right? Which brings us to the next one, number 5. So it says here, gold and get rich quick schemes don't mix. Gold flees the man who will force it to impossible earnings or who will follow with the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers or who trust it on its own inexperience and romantic desires and investments, especially with all the gurus. Like, hey, you know what? Give me $10,000. I'm going to show you how to get into real estate and make $1 million using none of your own money. things like that. There's so much stuff out there, and a lot of nothing against educators, because a lot of them are delivering, and also a lot of them aren't. I see that message out there a lot though. It's like, okay, so you're telling me I can get into real estate, make $1 million using none of my own money, and you make it sound easy, right? You can do that. It's hard. It's a hustle, and most people don't succeed there, but we see those kind of messages out there all the time. So if you see things, if it seems too good to be true, usually it is, right? Here's an example I wrote down here. So back when I was 18, this had nothing to do with business. Me and my buddy used to go just hang downtown Pittsburgh, right? We used to always find these dudes, these guys suspect, right? They're just in the alleys, and like, hey man, we can get you some speakers, like speakers for your car. We're like, hey, we'll get you some speakers, $20. And looking back, I'm like, dude, this is so stupid. It's a guy in a freaking alley that's going to sell me like $300 speakers for $20. It's like nuts, right? And I fell for it. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And he's like, okay, we got to go up here. Give me a ride up to, this was up by Oakland, up in a shady area up by Oakland and Pittsburgh, up in the Hill District. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Give me a ride up here. Give me your money. I'm going to go inside, go get them, and come back. I was out there with my buddy. I'm like, oh man, I'm looking back, this is stupid. I probably should have got shot or something. But so we go up there. We're sitting there. I give him the cash. He goes inside, and we just wait. Like 30 minutes later, if anyone ever saw the movie Friday, this dude came out looking like Debo. Pretty much like, get the hell out of here. So and basically the point is we got ripped off. I was expecting to get like $300 speakers for like $20. Unrealistic, right? So don't do that stuff. I also made this mistake. Also, I hooked up with this guy in Florida. This was one of the time I failed in real estate. Hooked up with this dude in Florida, and it was in pre-construction real estate back in the day, right around when the crash. But the deal was that I was to do sales for pre-construction real estate and sell people on properties that were to be built, condos. And my buddy Phil was to do the marketing, and the guy in Florida was the brokerage. So he got me and Phil involved. And what happened was we were doing deals. Phil was generating a ton of leads. I was calling to people and closing them. And then and Mark was taking their money, right? And there was all these first phase condos are supposed to be purchase them just for even number. It's like 100 grand. And by the time that's all complete, it should be worth 300, like all speculation. So we're selling those. I'm spending my money. I didn't spend money to invest in it, but where I did waste my money and lose it is my first house I got a smoking deal on. And I pulled $40,000 equity out of my house to be able to fly back and forth to Florida to get my real estate license and just do the business and pay my bills until I got my first commission, because it's like, okay, you sell people and you're gonna get paid in like 9 months, like whenever they break ground or whatever, right? So I'm doing this. I pulled $40K out of my pocket, hooked up with this guy. Turns out he was a scam artist. There's big lawsuits about this. I didn't get any of my money back though. This guy was a scammer. He tricked us into thinking we're gonna make all this money. We didn't do our due diligence properly. We were young, probably like, I don't know, 23 or something. And we're down there and basically we both got ripped off. So point of this is though, anything that looks too good to be true probably is. And you got to watch out too. There's legit scammers and tricksters out there. Like he wasn't one of the deals guys that we partnered up with, just didn't have experience and it didn't work out. He was someone that had ill intentions and was basically ripping people off. So you have to watch people. People out there aren't what you look for. But anyways, it comes back to these 5 laws. So it's like, okay, if it looked too good to be true, would it be? You know what I mean? Okay. And then you have to make that decision. Is it too good to be true or not? Like some things are like, I can make deals now that make a lot of money with very little effort, and it makes sense now because of my education, because of my experience, because of where I'm at. But back then it wouldn't have, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. So here are some things that you're going to face though, while doing this and growing your assets, right? I talk to everybody. They're like, hey, do your passion. Everyone's like, do your passion. If you want to get somewhere in life, go with your passion, right? And I look at it as everything that I've done that I've made money in isn't the fun stuff. Like I look at hobbies. If you want to do your passion, do it as a hobby. If you want to make money, follow the money. And you could be passionate about it, but you have to look at it as business. It's usually the money stuff's not going to be super fun. You have to do the things you don't want to do. You have to think not emotionally. Hobbies are going to be where you're going to be emotional, right? If you start asking yourself on every decision, these 5 questions, the 5 laws of gold, right? Run through each one. You'll know if it's working because your net worth will be increasing. You'll see your bank account going up. So if you do follow this, your bank account is going to go up. You're going to quit making decisions. You're going to think differently when you make decisions. So I highly, highly recommend doing this because it worked really well for me. Like I've accumulated a lot of wealth now and I didn't save it all. Like I get into real estate. I'm doing the same thing with real estate that I did with silver. So I came up with $1,500 and I accumulated like $100,000 worth of silver off of the same money. Same thing with real estate. I came up with like $200,000 and I just keep rolling it. I got millions of dollars in real estate now off of that same money. It's not like to accumulate 5 million or 10 million net worth, you have to save that much. It's like you have to save the initial investment and then figure out how to get that money to work for you, because I would have never been able to save up this much money. It's too much money in my net worth, you know what I mean? But if I can make money, and make decisions that make money, then it's good, right? Basically, you're going to know if your bank account's going up, it's working. So this isn't like one of those things out there that it's like, okay, you know what? Here, follow this and you'll see. You can see very clearly if your bank account's going up, this makes sense. Continue to do it and it's going to keep snowballing, right? Basically, that's what I got for you. Let me know what you guys think if you like this format too, because I normally do guest podcasts where I'm interviewing people. I normally am not talking this much, but I think I'm going to change this a little bit because I think I can help people out in certain areas that I can't really help out bringing guests on. So let me know what you guys think. And also, if you guys are in the real estate space and you need leads, you need digital marketing leads, hit us up. Like our website's motivatedleads.com. We do a pay per lead service where basically there's no monthly fee. You just pay on an a la carte basis. We send you a lead. We charge you for it on pay per lead side. So it's pretty cut and dry. And you can even look at things like that. Like if you saved up, I don't know, $5,000 and you put that $5,000 into things like pay per lead or whatever, any type of marketing, because all marketing works. Let me just even take a step back. All marketing works. I just happen to do digital. So like mail, driving for dollars, SMS, all that kind of stuff works. But say you took that $5,000 and you had the experience to run leads, that would make sense because you can compound your money. Now, one crucial point there is don't take your money. Say you saved up $5,000 and you haven't done a deal yet. You don't want to go spend that on marketing. What you want to do there, if you look at the 5 laws of gold, you want to go back and hustle and learn to trade. So you're going to want to go drive for dollars, hook up with Deal Machine or something, pay them $100 a month, go drive for dollars, send mailers and skip trace people and figure out how to get the deals. You're protecting your money while you're learning and you're putting very little risk out, right? But if you're to the point, you do 10, 20 deals a year, you can buy some of your time back by buying leads. So that's where we fall into there. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any topic ideas you'd like to hear about, reach out to us. You can just hit us up on a contact section on motivatedleads.com. Till next time, get out there, crush it, close some deals. See you guys.